Hey everybody, Ashley Francis here, the holistic psychotherapist, and today I'm going to talk about the terms soulmate and twin flame. So these are two terms that get tossed around in the spiritual community a lot, and I found that there is some confusion and some misconceptions about what these terms are. So I'm hoping to clear up some of that confusion and help you understand the differences and to identify if someone in your life is what's considered a soulmate, a twin flame, or maybe none of the above. So let's go ahead and hop in. So the term soulmate refers to somebody that you feel is cut from the same energetic cloth as you. This type of person fits like a glove. They are just so easy and so fun to be around, and this connection just feels so organic and it feels so natural. I don't even have to try to like this person or try to be with them because it just feels so natural and good. And that connection tends to happen pretty quickly. A lot of this is happening outside of consciousness. A lot of it is nonverbal, it's more energetic. So another characteristic of a soulmate is that they come in all different shapes, types, and sizes and varieties. It does not necessarily mean that you have to be in a romantic relationship with this person. Although, if you are, a soulmate is your ideal suitor. It is in your best interest to be in a romantic relationship with a soulmate most often, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to or that you should be. Another characteristic of a soulmate relationship is that it tends to be stable. Because it is so energetically aligned and so karmically perfect, they tend to be very stable relationships. There's not a whole lot of explaining yourself or that person trying to explain themselves to you. Just being together can feel good to the soul and tends to be pretty easy to navigate. Okay, so now let's talk about twin flames. So twin flames, a little different in that the concept here is that you are two halves that come together to make one whole. Now, in terms of a soulmate, you're actually two separate entities that come together in relationship. And of course, in therapeutic psychological terms, these are the most healthiest relationships. So with twin flames, the idea is that you're kind of broken apart, but you actually came from one entity to begin with. You weren't separate beings choosing to come together as a whole. You were one whole that has now been separated as two entities. And so, as you can imagine, that brings a whole host of problems. The idea and the argument here is that you are mirrors of each other. Because you have come from the same entity, you have so much in common. So here again, the similarities with the soulmate is that it may feel this like there is a soul connection and that it's easy to be understood by this person, at least in the beginning. It may not always feel that way, but you're mirrors of each other because what you're doing is you're holding up all of the things about this person back to them. Here's the mirror. So every time you look at your twin flame, they're reflecting back to you all of the things that you need to see along your karmic journey to be able to heal yourself. Now, as you can imagine, this is not always comfortable. It is usually characterized by a lot of conflict, and it is very tumultuous. So, in the twin flame relationship, there can be a lot of toxicity. It doesn't mean that it necessarily is toxic, but you're more inclined to have toxicity in this type of relationship because the mirrors are really more of the opposites of one another. You've got the converse energies of masculine and feminine. One represents the masculine, one represents the feminine. Now keep in mind that this is irrelevant in terms of gender, has nothing to do with that. It's about the masculine and feminine energy. Someone is more predominantly masculine, someone is more predominantly feminine. You've got two opposites. What happens when opposites get together? They tend to clash, they tend to have a lot of chaos. So even though the very nature of duality here insinuates that two opposites are attracted to one another, it's also a very magnetic attraction. So it's strong, but it also can be repelling at the same time. So this is why there's so much conflict. Another idea is that you have a shared pain. There is something that you both are able to bond over in terms of the types of pain that you feel. So even though the details of your life or your history may be very different, you are bonding over maybe some traumatic pain, some things that went really awry in your life. And if we're coming from the standpoint of you were together in past lives that have now come together in this life, you may have been siblings at one point, or you may have been romantic partners, or a mother and daughter, or a father and daughter, vice versa, all kinds of different combinations that have come together in this life to be able to solve your karmic pain, a shared pain that you had at one time. So there are things that are woven into your DNA that you brought with you, and because of the divine and the powers that be, you've been brought back together to heal that pain. And another characteristic is that it's not necessarily about love. And this is where it gets really tricky, because twin flames are always romantic relationships. We're inclined to think that love exists. And especially as drawn to this person as you feel on the soul level, there's parts of you that don't even question, yeah, I love this person. But when you zoom out and you're able to identify that this is really a twin flame connection, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's love. There again, it can be toxic. Another characteristic is that it requires a lot of inner work to be with this person. This person is not easy to be with. And it's so confusing. Why does this person feel like such a good soul match for me, but we can't freaking get along? So if two twin flames get together and they're able to successfully navigate it, the relationship, it is because both parties are committed to doing the inner work that is necessary in order to make the relationship work. So yes, it is absolutely possible for twin flames to be in relationship with one another. However, that is because they've committed to doing the inner work and they've been able to clean up a lot of that karmic pain. So it's important to keep in mind that there is a lot of similarities between the soulmate and the twin flame. Much of the time, the idea is that you knew each other in a past life in some capacity. They also feel like home. When you're with that person, it just feels so good and so right, and you bond together on a soul connection. So I hope that this was helpful to provide some distinctions between soulmates and twin flames. Please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. As always, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.